Seattle Kraken, they're plus 145 right now, hosting the Boston Bruins minus 170, and the over-under for this contest is 6. This is a twofold play. One, the Kraken are a good team. We know that. We know that the goaltending is a bit of a mess, and that's not good for any team. But they do have the 4 lines that they can roll. They have a deep decor. It's nothing that's going to leap off the page, but there's very few cracks in the armor for this team. They've already beaten the Bruins. They were the first team to beat them in regulation at home. But this is also a weird scheduling spot for Boston. They're traveling out to Seattle. Here's what they dealt with since the All-Star break. They came back from the All-Star break. They lost to the Capitals at home. Then they traveled to Dallas and Nashville. Then they came home for 2 games against the Islanders and Senators. They looked really good in those 4 games. They beat Dallas, Nashville, Islanders, and Senators. So they're riding a 4-game win streak here. But now they're traveling back west. They're going across the country to Seattle. It's just a lot, I think. And if you're going to try to beat the Bruins, you got to look at spots like this. And Seattle's a team that I think should punch up pretty well in the spot.
Yeah, I like that. I have my own reasons why I'd love to see Seattle win, and they're obviously going to make it a tough game. They've got the 4 lines rolling, and they're going to, make it tough for any team coming into there. So I can see the logic with that. And as I continue to say, we're seeing Boston play outside of the Nashville game and some of these games. We're seeing them play a lot closer games. So obviously that helps the argument for taking on the Kraken at a long number, and it should get longer, I'd presume.
Yep.
I think the average take is going to be that price is a little close.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the Bruins looked like world beaters against the Islanders, but that game was 3-0 within like the first 10 minutes, and it's over from then. And I thought the Senators actually played a pretty decent game against Boston. So
I thought they played them quite well. I think
yeah.
that would be another one where it's like probably not a 2-goal win on average.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, at some point, it's like that's been a ton of Boston games, and they have such good goaltenders. But there's been so many where I've been watching the game and getting sucked into some sort of a live play against the Bruins or whatever, and they just hang in there and give up nothing. So,
they're specialists.
Yes, they know what they're doing over there.
Yeah, so that's me. I like the Kraken. As I said, it's a good round robin night, I think, for underdogs. I'll touch on the rest of them. Nick, what is your favorite underdog?
As typically seems to happen, I have a lot less of a fun underdog, but I think it's going to be one of the best games on the slate. So for one, that makes it an exciting place to make a bet. And I think it's a solid one. So the Oilers are a slight underdog on the road in Pittsburgh. And I think that's a good time to go back to the Oilers. They came through for us with the spread cover versus Philly on Tuesday. It wasn't pretty. That was probably the Oilers' worst game, I'd say, believe it or not, out of the recent ones. But I like a lot of what their lineup strengths can do to this Penguins team right now. We've seen how bad the Penguins are struggling with the rush and defensively. And I think it's just a good night for McDavid and Draisaitl and the like to go off. Ideally, if you're someone, depending on what shop you're on, I think a parlay of over 5.5 goals and the Oilers to win is another really reasonable look for a longer number. So yeah, I just think we should see the Oilers be able to generate a lot in this spot. I think McDavid gets up for these Crosby games, and yeah, it should be a really good game too.